So now on our diabetes chat stories, today we're talking about hybrid closed loop systems and we're joined by Yasmin. Hello, Yasmin.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely great to have you here. So we're going to start with some sort of quick fire questions, if that's okay with you, in our
Yeah.
90-second feature. Okay, let's kick off. What is your name?
Yasmin, that was an easy one.
That was an easy one. When were you diagnosed with diabetes and how old were you?
Oh, it was about 17 years ago and I was 11.
Do you finger prick or use smart technology?
I am smart tech all the way.
All the way.
All the
If
way.
If and when you finger pricked back in the day, did you change the lancets every day?
No, absolutely not. No. Did anyone, by the way?
I don't think so. I think they've still got that original box. Do you use insulin pens or pump, and what do you prefer and why?
I am a pump user. However, I use both depending on where I'm at and what I do. But I am pumped through and through, really. But holidays, pens.
Great tip there, guys. Are you hypo aware?
I am.
What symptoms do you have of hypos?
Oh God, shaky, sweating, kind of the internal, I'm gonna burst kind of feeling, dizzy. However, I have started to get a new symptom, which is like little black dots in my eyes almost.
Okay.
At first I thought, oh my gosh, is this retinopathy?
Yeah.
But no, it was a hypo symptom. So that's a new one for me in the past
New
year.
one. Yeah, I've not heard that before. Great tip, and keep an eye out for it, guys.
Yeah.
What do you think's worse, feeling hypo or feeling hyper?
Oh, I'm gonna say hyper because I feel really sick.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing you like about diabetes and one thing you don't like about diabetes.
I love our community, our people. I always, when I speak and talk about diabetes, I say us and we, and I think we have a fantastic support group in anyone with diabetes. What I hate the most is the pressures it puts on my family, my boyfriend in particular, things like that. That kind of, yeah.
I can totally understand that. And do you love or hate the smell of insulin?
Honestly, I think I'm indifferent.
Yeah.
I don't really care for it, but I wouldn't get it in my perfume.
There you go. I won't get you that for Christmas then.
Thank you.
So there we go, guys. Our 90-second quickfire questions with Yasmin. Thank you, Yasmin. So now, Yasmin, we've got some questions for you, and you're going to share your lived experiences of hybrid closed loop. And our first question for you is, how long have you been using hybrid closed loop, and how did you hear about it, and why did you move over to hybrid closed loop?
Yeah, so first of all, I was part of the NICE Guidance pilot study, which was an absolute privilege and honour to be a part of. And to be honest, I have a fantastic diabetes team, and I didn't realise how varied secondary care was across the country until I really started talking to people. But my team in particular, back in Dorset, where I'm originally from, they've got a Facebook page, and they're all like, the consultants are on it and the patients are on it, and it's just brilliant. And a message popped up saying, "Oh, we're trialing some new technology," and I thought, I know what that is. And unfortunately, I've suffered with quite a high HbA1c for years, regardless of being on pumps, MDI, changing insulin, everything. I've got quite a unfortunate medical history, nothing to do with my diabetes. So all of those diseases unfortunately affect my blood sugars. And I thought, you know what? This system could finally be the kind of that bridge that takes the pressure off a bit. So that was the main kind of thing for me, because I was already on a pump, but I didn't obviously have the connectivity. My nanny, before she passed away, she actually funded my Libra as well. So I was also very kind of aware of using CGMs, which 2 years ago when I started this wasn't the norm as it is now. Fortunately, thank you everyone, NHS England involved in that. So yeah, for me, as soon as I saw it, I thought this really could be that final step for me to get that control
Yeah,
that I've
yeah,
worked so hard for, but my HbA1c was still above 100.
absolutely. So let's talk a little bit more then about the actual hybrid closed loop in itself, and what features do you like the most about it, and how has using the technology really helped improve your sort of quality of life, mental health? How have you seen any differences in your overall management and control of your day-to-day diabetes?
Yeah, so I saw a stat and it said 40 to 50% of type 1s suffer from diabetes distress. And to be honest with you, I think I disagreed with it. I think I thought, well, who are these people? Because, first of all,
Hmm.
I don't think I know anyone that hasn't
Yeah,
suffered from diabetes distress.
yeah,
And something that is incorporated in that, and I'm sure you also are aware, is the 180 healthcare related decisions a day, which
yes,
we've chatted before. Like, you can say, oh, well, I'm running a bit high today. So actually, you know what? I'm not going to eat. Those are healthcare decisions related to our diabetes that to us we probably don't think about, but actually they're quite serious. So the closed loop in no way is a magic pill. It is
no,
not an artificial pancreas.
no,
You still need to do things, but it can alleviate some of those healthcare decisions. And one thing in the question, it says the difference in your overall management.
yeah,
And I want to pick up on that because for me, my system, the Tandem T Slim with G6, is perfect. Once I hit 12, it then corrects for me. I don't do a thing. It does it all for me. And it predicts 30 minutes into the future what my blood sugar will be. So it just adds that little bit of correction dose. And I carry on. I don't even do anything. Now, for some people, it may get to 12 and they're thinking that's way too high.
yeah, yeah,
I'm not one of those people. I don't mind to run around 10, to be honest with you.
yeah,
We know that now the average non-diabetic patient will have 70% time in range. So if you do get to 10 or 12, I think it's really important we kind of change that narrative that
of
that is
course,
okay.
that is okay.
Yeah. And the hybrid closed loop, I think people think, oh, I'm going to be 100% time in range. It's not for that
It's not.
reason.
No.
It's to get you, it mimics the natural process and things like that, really. So yeah, for me, that's the difference. Is I was going high, whatever I did, everything high, high, high. But like I say, I now hit that 12, just corrects for me. Now, don't get me wrong. After the month, I had a honeymoon period and thought, this is the most amazing thing ever. And then all of a sudden, so at the time it was 15, 16 years of diabetes, I was like, this machine is doing my job that I've done for over 15 years.
Yeah,
And I think that's really important that
that's
people,
great.
yeah, people need to know though, it's also very hard to let it do its thing because all of a sudden I found myself kind of saying, well, actually, no, I want that correction a bit earlier. And
Yes.
I was overriding it, and that just caused chaos. So I think it's a huge lesson that people should realize is that you need to change your mindset and your narrative and be ready
Hmm.
to run at
Yes.
12. You still will get hypos. You still will. There's times when my blood's crash in 5 minutes, let alone half an hour. And I think people need to realize that aim for that 70%, aim for that non diabetes range.
Yes.
And this system can do that, but you still need to input your carb amount. So previously, loved my sandwiches, my carbs, things like that. But I used to do, oh, that's 2 pieces of bread, that's around 30 grams. It's more about being very precise now with this system.
Originally, you were on pens, and then you went to pump, and now you're on closed loop. How have you found that transition from the starting point, or from pump to actually the fully hybrid closed loop system?
Yeah, like I say, again, education is key, and I have a very engaging team, a secondary care team, the DSNs and consultants. What I would say is if you particularly don't have that, maybe sort after that care because you deserve it and
Yeah.
it's your full right. But that really did help. because I had the base knowledge of the pump before, I'd been on a pump for about 4 years before I was put on hybrid closed loop. So that enabled me to understand how the systems worked, the cannulas, the tubing. I prefer a tubed pump personally because I like to put it wherever, like today I'm wearing a dress, but tomorrow I might be wearing jeans. So for me, I just prefer tubed, but that's my decision.
Yeah.
And I think I already had that comfortableness.
Yeah.
That's a word.
Yeah.
But the great thing about the tandem, the T Slim in particular, is that it's got an option to have control IQ on, which is the hybrid closed loop, or just normal kind of pump settings
So
without the
you could turn the hybrid closed loop off if you wish to.
Yeah, for
And
whatever reason.
so it's that choice, you having that choice to manage your diabetes.
It's completely flexible. And I say it and I say it again. Diabetes, type 1 diabetes in particular, but also all types of diabetes, it's one of the only diseases that I'm aware of that every single person is on a different
Yeah.
treatment regime.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what
Like
I mean?
your carb
There's
ratio, my carb ratio.
exactly. There's not one set user manual. You know what I mean? If only, like, you've got diabetes now, guys. Here's a set manual. Follow this to the T. You'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah,
What they say is that 42 factors that can impact your levels going up or down the side 45 degrees. You know what I mean? It's
horizontal.
so exactly. It is so challenging, and it's so different between me and you, and it's
Mm.
just lovely to hear that.
And that's what the hybrid closed loop gives. It gives you so much flexibility, because at the end of the day, it does what your levels are doing.
Yeah.
So for me, it's amazing. But like I say, everyone that's listening is, if you're not too happy with being at 12 or a little bit higher sometimes, then
Yeah.
this is not the system for you. And I think it's really important that we appreciate that if you've got a lovely HbA1c, you've got lovely time in range, and you're okay, don't go fix that's what's not broken.
Yes.
That's really important. But also, I think access to this will change a lot of lives. Like I say, for people like me in particular that had really high HbA1cs, and I know there's going to be people listening that have got perfect HbA1cs but really high diabetes distress, and they're going to go, "What about me?" I fully agree with you, and that's why we work with our DSNs in particular, and say to them like, "Look, I don't want to make my HbA1c worse, but in a minute it's going that way." But we must understand that the DSNs have got a lot of work to do. So, yeah, find that balance, communicate, speak about what works for you and what doesn't work for you.
Our final question for you, Yasmin, is there anything that you feel could be done to make the hybrid closed loop better for you as a person live with diabetes, or for a parent or carer, and also for the healthcare professional teams itself?
I think the awareness and education, easy. Um, Being flexible with that. The more you learn about these systems, the more you learn about carb counting, the more you learn about food in general, makes these things a lot easier to use. So, actually understanding, first of all, what is your sensor measuring? People still think it's a blood glucose. I know we say blood glucose, but no, it's not. And
Yeah.
that's why we get variances and things like that. And I think that's really important. And we should all take responsibility for our own diseases, but also kind of communicate with the healthcare professional. Actually, you know what? I don't really understand that part. Can I know more? But I think as well, sometimes it's very easy to say, oh, I need help with this, but we need to understand the flexibility needs to be there. For example, I know you're a parent and soon to be a double parent,
Double
two
parent, yeah.
children, sadly.
Yeah.
But for example, if you're working, you've got childcare, you can't all of a sudden drop everything and go on a 3-week course.
No. No.
So for me, I think NHS healthcare professionals need to understand in the long term this is going to decrease their workload. I have not had a hospital admission in 2 years, whereas I used to have about one every few months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we've got to think long term, but
Yes.
initially, this is going to take some education. There's 400,000 of us. Even if we get a quarter of us on this system,
Mm-hmm.
that's 100,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
I know it's big numbers, but in the long term, what can we do? And that is going to start with the healthcare professionals. Education, education, education.
There we go. Thank you so much, Yasmin, for joining our diabetes chat stories this evening. Thank you so much.
No, it's absolutely fine. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.